right. So let's begin. In a world where lust, instant gratification, overstimulation have become the status quo, men have lost their initiation into manhood, and essentially we've lost connection with our masculine essence. However, there exists an ancient practice that allows us men to break free from the debilitating chains draining us of our innate masculine essence and finally tapping back into our true power. None other than semen retention. You are not designed to be releasing every week, let alone every day. In ancient China, Taoist sages viewed a man's semen as a precious essence, known as jing, which was to be preserved in order to maintain overall health and vitality. The sages considered one drop of semen to be equal to 100 drops of blood. In yogic traditions, a man's seed is linked to the concept of virya, the core essence that supports the mind, body, and soul. By channeling this energy through the bodies, the 7 energy chakras, individuals are able to attain supreme states of consciousness. Everybody can hear me correct, right? Okay, getting false notifications on here. So, when the average male climaxes, he loses about 1 tablespoon of semen. According to the scientific research, the nutritional value of this amount of semen is equal to that of 2 pieces of New York steak, 10 eggs, 6 oranges, 2 lemons combined. That includes proteins, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, everything. Now, this is from the GOAT, none other than Montauk Chia. I'm not necessarily sure how they came up with that math, but it does make sense that you're losing a lot of nutrients, zinc, selenium, just a whole bunch of minerals. So keep that in mind. This timeless technique holds the keys to unlock our hidden reservoirs of mental clarity, physical vitality, and spiritual progression on the path towards embodying our highest self. So in this class, we'll be exploring the benefits of this practice, its history, and discussing practical methods and how we can implement them into our modern day lifestyles. And I see somebody's been asking in the chat about this recording. There may be a recording, just I will announce it at the end. In the meantime, I will recommend you take some notes as there is going to be a lot of information. So what we will be discussing: the principles of semen retention, physical and spiritual benefits, sexually deprogramming your brain, how to recirculate sexual energy through the microcosmic orbit, a wet dream protocol, and of course, a bunch more. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I will be sharing some PDF sources for both men and women to further their knowledge on this path. So pay close attention. Principles of retention. In order for us to fully grasp the significance of this practice, it is essential to understand the basics of what semen retention really is. And of course, there's a lot of different perceptions and ideas and dogmas, but in my opinion, it's as simple as this. Simply the conscious and deliberate act of abstaining from wasting our vital life force. Allowing it to build up to the point where we can learn how to properly redirect it towards attaining higher purposes in life, rather than merely engaging in compulsive low vibrational behavior to satisfy your lower animal nature. Over time, this practice has become a completely forgotten concept within the overly sexualized society you see today. And of course, they are advertising and bombarding us through all these different sources. I mean, what's going on? There is information missing. What are you saying over there, Jennifer? I have those books, but there's info missing. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the PDFs at the end if that's what you're saying, if that's what you mean. So there's all types of sexual advertising being bombarded us at every corner. I mean, you see the types of games these kids are playing, the types of things you see online and ads. It's gotten to the point where you practically can't ignore it. So with adult content in itself being just a click away, hookup culture being prevalent societal norms, the so-called health organizations claiming constant release is healthy, it's evident to see there is an agenda being pushed among young men to drain them of their innate masculine essence. But of course, this is nothing new. Throughout history, the world has recognized a fundamental truth. The strength of the society rests upon the spirits of men. Tactics of disempowerment started from the battlefield, where empires rose and fell. Conquerors understood eliminating the masculine drive, and the opposing force was akin to dismantling a crucial pillar that upheld the strength of a nation. In modern times, this age-old concept is still alive as ever, but now has taken a new form. The battleground is no longer defined by physical dominance, but shifted towards subversive tactics of mental, spiritual, and psychological warfare. And as you see, we have these tactics of over-sexualization through Pornhub, Tinder, OnlyFans. I mean, the list goes on, unfortunately. So to add insult to injury, you add poison foods, products infiltrating our body, derailing our hormonal equilibrium, the endocrine disruptors, coupled with sedentary routines devoid of physical demand, we as men crave, right? Our vigor and vitality are being diminished each passing day. And in the last 50 years alone, our testosterone levels have dropped half of what they used to be. Essentially, we are witnessing the demise of the masculine spirit in real time. So as you can see here, literally, your grandfather was likely to have more testosterone than the average 20-year-old male. So Saladin Ayyubi, the founder of the Ayyubid dynasty, sorry if I butchered that. If you want to destroy any nation without war, make adultery and nudity common in the younger generations. So being on this path of SR, being on the path to resist the war on masculinity, this practice is a profound counter as it returns us back to our roots. Each practitioner on this quest becomes a glitch in the matrix, disrupting the artificial design that seeks to nullify our potency. Jennifer just said, the USA is doomed. I think it's definitely, they've done a great job of trying to destroy the family unit and over-sexualize people, but at the same time, many of us are waking up, hence all of you here. So, as Nikola Tesla said, a lifelong practitioner of semen retention, if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. It is when a man learns to master the source of his own vital energy, a transformational process occurs. So, on this path, we evolve from pawns into sovereign kings, immune to the traps of the world intent on draining us. And to those seeking to embark on this journey, be prepared, as SR will slowly but surely start to pull the curtains on the illusions of your life and expose you to its inner truths. But before we move forward, I have to warn you. This journey is not for everyone, but specifically men who are committed to sacrificing their lower animalistic nature in order to embark on the journey or on the road of self-mastery. Every new act of creation begins with an act of destruction. Pablo Picasso. So keep that in mind as this quest to restore the connection back to your highest self acts as a ripple effect that extends far beyond than just yourself. By reclaiming your own masculine essence, you not only fortify your own inner temple, but become a radiant beacon of light that illuminates the spark in others as well. So as you know, energy is contagious. And the best way to share truth is to embody it. On this path, so many of us, we wake up to these truths and we try to wake up our family and our friends. And it can be very, very disruptive. No one wants to listen to you. They start isolating you. They feel like you're crazy, right? I'm sure everybody here can relate. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can relate to trying to wake up your family members. Big time. Big time. And we're going to get even more into that in a bit. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And the best thing to do is to just embody that truth and then lead by example, where they see that glow and they're like, what is he up to now? Or what is she up to now? Like, I see that they're actually onto something. That's the best way to bring that curiosity. So on to the mental and physical benefits. To develop a holistic understanding of SR, we must first uncover how it affects us in the physical, examining the psychological or the physiological and neurological chemical effects helps us provide further insight on how this age-old practice truly benefits our mind and body. Desexualize your brain. So on the mental side, by retaining your seed and abstaining from lust, you'll start to drastically alter and rewire your mind and direct its attention towards creation rather than consumption. When we're in a constant cycle of PMO, which is porn, masturbation, and orgasm, we trigger huge surges of dopamine within the brain. The neurotransmitters associated with not only confidence and motivation, but pleasure and reward. We therefore reward our system with pleasure when basically you haven't done anything that was positive to reinforce that. So this has detrimental effects on both our nervous system and our subconscious as a whole. Think of it like this. That's the reward chemical, right? You're telling your body you achieved something great. You're telling your body you literally did what was your biological instinct for procreation, to pass on your genetic seed. So you're reinforcing negative behaviors to your subconscious mind with something you know is not necessarily beneficial to you. So those repeated exposures to high levels of dopamine eventually lead us to desensitize the system as a whole, causing the brain to create more and more to experience the same level of pleasure. The longer we expose ourselves to this black magic, the worse it gets. That crippling drug addiction acts as an anchor, dragging us down from the ever rising above our lower nature to actualize our highest potential in life, just like any other drug out there. So as you can see, here's your brain. This is your brain on drugs. And here is your brain on porn. It erodes the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking. It literally throws imbalances off in your root and sacral chakra. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's literally a million reasons to quit porn. And this is a prime example. Now, the pleasure-addicted world is filled with cheap dopamine hits that have no real purpose or reward, draining us of this motivation molecule. And of course, it's not just porn, social media, it's gaming, it's binge watching Netflix, even the constant texting and email alerts, all to take us out of the present moment, sapping our attention and depleting us of dopamine. Now, has anyone actually done a dopamine detox? Drop a 1 in the chat if you've done a dopamine detox. Awesome. Yeah, guys, I mean, that's awesome. Wow, a lot of ones. So one of the best things to do, of course, is just to unplug from nature as a whole. Go into nature or unplug from social media, the electronics, and tap into nature. Literally a 3-day fast from electronics is just a great fast as well as any other fast. Because all that blue light, all the focusing into external things, like it just zaps you out of the present moment. And just being in nature, you really learn how to restore your nervous system to be back in like an equilibrium state, to be in a natural state of alignment. So give it a shot. Look more into a dopamine fast. Highly recommend it. Now, activities such as exercise, fasting, breath work, sauna use, cold showers, not only provide a boost in neurotransmitters such as dopamine, epinephrine, serotonin, and endorphins, these hormetic stressors provide immediate and sustainable releases of dopamine that make our lives much more rewarding. So by doing this, you become a king in control, watching others sympathetically as they run towards empty dopamine hits, leaving their goals behind. Long story short, you get the best forms of dopamine when you actually accomplish the things you don't want to do that are actually challenging and difficult, right? Same with the exercising, the fasting, the breath work, setting that time aside and actually looking in ways to level up your avatar, to upgrade your physical existence. As you implement these practices, your dopamine receptors begin to heal. A newfound perspective on life emerges, brain fog decreases, and this discipline bleeds into other areas of your life. Like I say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Your focus naturally shifts towards more long-term and productive goals, helping you build towards the future. Now, with one of the biggest, if not the biggest sources of distraction for us modern men, finally kept under control, we're able to tap into our higher faculties and truly unlock our hidden creative capabilities. We return back to a more natural state of stoic being, unmoved by the chaotic waves of life pulling you at each and every direction. And that is what separates the men from the boys. As you see in the meme, guy on the left just wants life to be easy, doesn't want challenges. And I believe, as Marcus Aurelius, you don't develop courage by being happy in your relationships every day. You develop it by surviving difficult times and challenging adversities. So essentially, it's the difficult times that can bring out the best ones in your life. It's surviving those difficult moments that bring out your inner strengths. So by engaging in these difficult practices that bring discipline, through cultivating an unwavering self-control, one is able to develop and embody a stoic mind that makes every other psychological obstacle we face that much easier to overcome. It is here we become a pillar of strength for those closest to us. The universe is always testing you as a man to see if you lose sight of your mission and fold under pressure. And this is where SR emerges as a fundamental cornerstone along your journey. By taming the beast of lust and distraction, you'll find yourself less reactive and triggered by other external forces of the world attempting to knock you off your path as you gain dominion over one of the most potent emotions there is. And of course, here are some benefits of semen retention: clarity of mind, no mental clutter, more energy, increased sex drive, thicker hair, deeper voice, healthier skin, complexion. You're much more motivated. You're actually waking up and ready to hit your goals and get shit done. Multi-orgasmic, appreciation for women's exterior and inner beauty, better short-term memory, more engaged conversations because you're just focusing on self-improvement. You're reading more, you're learning more. That in turn makes you more interesting. Increased confidence, better dream recollection because you're not releasing all that DMT and all that source of life, which gets to my next point. This is all due to the fact that your seed is rich in various types of nutrients, minerals, and proteins that are taken up by the body to produce it. And as you can see below, vitamin C, B12, minerals are zinc, magnesium, calcium. The macros will be protein, carbohydrates, fructose, DNA. It's all information. So keep in mind, aside from survival, your natural biological instincts are hardwired to prioritize reproduction in order to pass on genetic code to your future offspring. Basically, we're brought here to reproduce, to pass on genetics and keep on that ancestral lineage. So this inevitably requires a huge amount of energy and valuable materials towards the creation of your seed, which men are wasting daily. However, you'll soon realize it extends far beyond just reproductive functions, since these are essential resources that can be absorbed back into the body and used for other purposes. And Swami Sivananda said, in a pure and orderly life, this matter is reabsorbed. It goes back into circulation, ready to form the finest brain, nerve, and muscular tissues. This vital fluid of man, carried back and diffused through his system, makes him manly, strong, brave, and heroic. If wasted, it leaves him effeminate, weak, physically debilitated, and prone to sexual irritation, disordered function, and a wretched nervous system. So no, key right here. Semen retention is just an aid in your internal alchemy. NoFap is just an introduction. You can start channeling your sexual energy by first identifying the things that are draining it, but you still have to apply real practices like breath work, meditation, exercise, sunlight exposure, quality sleep, eating better, creative outlets, and so on. It is through these synergistic blends that bring us into improving our overall health and vitality. So long story short, you can't expect to have a shitty lifestyle and continue to just retain and expect to get real benefits from it. Say it one more time. How you do one thing is how you do everything. When you try to level up one aspect of your life, you cannot neglect it for the other. Improve everything, and you will start to notice real results. Now, spiritual and energetic effects. Beyond the physical, SR has deep roots buried in arcane wisdom of various cultures. For ages, saving this essence was documented as a powerful esoteric catalyst and amplifier for one's spiritual development. The semen is the astral liquid of man. In the semen is the astral light. The semen is the key of all powers and the key to all empires. And that is the maestro, the teacher, Samael Aun Weor. Amazing author. I highly recommend you all check out his work. Can be a bit extreme, but at the same time, full of extreme potent knowledge. Like he brings together how all religions are basically fundamentally rooted in sex and procreation. So that book is The Perfect Matrimony. Again, the book is called The Perfect Matrimony. Look into any of his books. Highly recommend. Been reading him for several years now. Moving along. Now, in certain spiritual traditions, sexual energy is commonly represented within the mythological symbolism of the sacred serpent Kundalini. This is the dormant source of cosmic energy coiled at the base of the spine, which once awakened forms the pathway for our spiritual ascension. And I see somebody just dropped a link for Samael's work. Archive does have a great source of books. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And from the snake coiled around the neck of Lord Shiva, the serpent wrapped around the staff of Moses, or the caduceus wielded by the god Hermes. This symbolic archetype has remained a prevalent occult teaching throughout human history. And of course, it's also the serpent in the Adam and Eve story, which is symbolic for your Kundalini. It's everywhere. It is Adam and Eve, Isis and Osiris, Shiva and Shakti, Ida and Pingala, the two energy channels in the spine. And as I said with Samael Aun-Weor, he mentions all of that in that book. So highly recommend it. So the fact is, once we learn how to actually transcend lust through proper discipline, dedication, and patience, individuals are able to experience serene states of yogic bliss, bleeding into oneness of creation as they awaken the Christic force that lies within. And as you can see on the right, I wonder how many of our followers actually get it that we're just symbols of their true self. All these stories are about you. All these allegorical parables are like, it all goes back to the human body and where we live. So with a heightened level of consciousness, a raised vibration, the trajectory of your life undergoes an extreme transformation. Our energies and priorities get redirected towards living in alignment with our soul's purpose, our reason for existence, and achieving our ultimate potential in all facets of life. Now, on the metaphysical side, this is the life force energy seen as one of the most powerful components of one's aura, the energetic field that makes up the non-physical body surrounding the material form. So it was seen that preserving this seed is to amplify the celestial frequency, enhancing your own personal magnetism. In Eastern Ayurvedic teachings, when one learns how to harness this power of their prana and raise it up these 7 energy centers in the body, it will be refined into a substance known as Oja Shakti, which can be translated as a brilliant power. Now, what is our magnetism, right? Our personal magnetism is the emanation of our energetic field. It's the source of our charisma, our willpower, our ability to manifest with intentions and connect with the unseen metaphysical forces of nature. So again, everything is energy, frequency, vibration. And you can feel that type of energy when you walk into a room with a bunch of people. Let's say you walk into a room with a whole bunch of people and say it just gets super quiet when you walk in. It's a shift of energy. It kind of feels like everybody was just talking about you or something else. Now think of it on the flip side. Everybody's super positive. You walk into a room, everybody's very excited to see you. It's a whole different shift of energy. And you'll even see this with one person where their own energy could take up a whole room. And you just feel like they're always extremely open, straight posture, very formal, and just take up, again, they just take up the energy of a whole room. That is your personal magnetism. So it's saving that seed that enhances that. Now, by cultivating a higher vibrational state, it makes you more attuned with cosmic energy. One is able to attract more positivity, synchronicity, and meaningful connections as they start to operate in alignment with the natural laws that govern this plane of existence. And as the notorious Carl Jung said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. And that gets me to this part. How many of you have gotten into this spiritual journey or whatever you want to call it and start to see those sacred numbers? The 222s, the 333s, the 444s, drop them in the chat what your number is. Mine's 222. So, of course, everything's made up of code in this universe. Everything's ones and zeros. Everything operates in a giant supercomputer that we're calling reality right now, like the whole simulation theory. So you're always getting these downloads or these signs, these omens that come in numbers. You see them in receipts, you see them in signs, you see them on license plates, you see them when you just look at the clock everywhere, right? But you also get them as people, you get them as animals, you get them as plants, you get them as events. So the universe is always speaking to you, and it's just a matter of our intention and being aware to try to decode that message and see what kind of state of alignment it's asking us to be in. A lot of numbers in the chat. Love it, guys. Appreciate you all. So this along this, others around you will start to pick up and notice on this radiant energy emitted by your aura. Your communication skills, both verbal and nonverbal, will become more potent and effective, making it easier to convey ideas and leave a greater energetic imprint on the inner psyche of others. So as you can see in the timeline, social anxiety, flatline, depression, then as you get through it, you start having those up peaks. Then 2 months in, even 3 or 4 months in, you start getting more confident, more energetic, more clear skin. You start noticing more attraction. You're more grounded. You're less shaken by external events. And then on the last one, you just literally leveled up. Little urges, very intelligent, healthy, attractive, witty. Y'all can see the meme. So as you can see, semen retention is much more of a spiritual journey, allowing you to tap into the deep layers of your eternal being, as it is both mental and physical discipline. It is a cornerstone for the integration of mind, body, and soul into one. The art of sexual transmutation. Now, to truly complement one's SR journey, it is crucial to instill daily practices that benefit your mind, body, and soul so you may redirect this energy towards creative outlets. I see somebody's got a few questions. Guys, I'm going to answer questions at the very end. So save them for the end. We'll get to it. We'll have all the time for questions at the end. Thank you. So we're going to go over 2 techniques to form what is commonly called the art of tantric sexual transmutation. Now, the first key component is acknowledging the fact that energy flows where attention goes. And the 2 spiritual currencies are time and our attention. Now, those 2 spiritual currencies, right? This analogy of time and attention means that whatever endeavor we put our time and attention towards, which is energy, we end up getting something back in return, right? This could be a form of knowledge, understanding, skills, expertise, and empowerment if we use it wisely. So to bring it back, energy flows where attention goes. What you give is what you get. If you're constantly looking into things that don't have an effect in your own personal life, don't expect to get much of a difference, right? I'm talking about the rabbit holes, the psyops, the false flags, getting super sucked into those things that don't really have actual meaning into your life. Whereas when you do actual daily practices that are leveling up your avatar, reading, learning, breath work, etc., you can expect to get those things back in tangible form. So by default, it seems obvious the first step is to protect your visual gates. Unfollow, remove anything promiscuous or triggering. I mean, IG models, OnlyFans, the corn sites. Redirect your energy towards real, tangible goals. Now, the second key is the most fundamental practice to pair with SR. It is mindfulness through meditation and breath work. We're about to share how to practice a simple yet ancient technique to truly harness and unlock the powers of your life force. And this is a practice both men and women can do. So this is referred to as the microcosmic orbit. It is the circulation of light. It finds its roots in ancient Taoist and Chinese energy cultivation practices. It dates back thousands of years, and these traditions viewed the human body as a microcosm of the universe, with energy flowing through specific pathways or meridians, energy channels. And if you know that line, The human body was seen as a microcosm of the universe. So all the ancients believed all the elements of outside, all the celestial bodies, all these celestial influences, what we call as planets, were in the body, right? Each chakra correlates with a planet. And each astrological sign is also found within the body. Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Leo, right? Sagittarius, all of them go down to Pisces, down to the 2 feet. So the human body is literally the expression of the universe put into one. Or you are God in human form. Not God itself, but an expression, gifted co-creative abilities by the creator itself. So get back to the practice. Simply put, it's the path of energy that travels from the perineum, which is the spot between your genitals and your anus, not to get crude, but that's exactly what it is, up the spine to the crown and down the frontal channel of the body back to the navel. And I'm going to explain how to do this in a second. This method helps both men and women learn how to circulate their sexual energy from lower energy centers and transmute it towards higher faculties through designated channels. So this is how you get started. First, I want you to find like a quiet, clean, and peaceful space where you won't be disturbed during your practice. And ideally, you don't want to do this on a full stomach. You want to do this in an empty stomach, at least not eating 2 hours before, an hour at least. 2 most important things are going to be your posture. Assume a comfortable seated posture with your spine erect, shoulders relaxed, hands resting on your knees, and awareness. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, sending yourself into the flow of the moment without forcefully trying to control it. And I want you to try to do this with me as we explain it. Let your breath slowly start to fall into its natural relaxed rhythm, steady inhales and exhales. So just try your best to breathe in through your nose and either out your mouth or out your nose as well. And this is going to be the best part. So before we get into that, actually, so many of us have a distorted sense of breathing that it's crucial that we don't breathe through our mouths. When we breathe through our mouths, we're adding cranial pressure. We are not properly taking in CO2 properly, and it's just not overall good for your body. So ideally, you want to breathe in through your nose and actually breathe into your diaphragm. So when you take a deep inhale, your stomach should be coming out a little bit, and you would have your stomach come out. And then as you exhale, your stomach will go in. A lot of people are doing that in reverse. And as you notice doing that breathwork exercise, just breathing into your stomach alone, you may start to notice some discomfort because it's starting to shift things that you weren't really necessarily aware of until you tap into the breath. And the breath is in itself the spirit. It brings you back into the present moment. So just keep that in mind with these next exercises. Now, the visualization. I want you to picture a loop that occurs when you touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And this energy runs through the roof of your mouth, into the brain, and then back of your body, so down your spine, and then returns to your root chakra, which is the base of your spine. All right? And then you can also visualize it the opposite way, but preferably I like to do it in the opposite of what's being presented here. So bringing that energy up, bringing it down. And then you visualize that energy from the tongue to your abdomen to the groin, which will help you accomplish this, or in reverse, right? From the groin to the abdomen to the tongue. And this is how we get it. This is how you activate it. So while you're visualizing that, breathe in deep and slow while holding pelvic contractions. A pelvic contraction is that muscle that you feel when you're trying to like hold your pee for both men and women. It's like a Kegel. So as you're visualizing that energy running down your spine, or as you're running it down, whatever you prefer, you're going to clench that pelvic muscle more and more, the more the energy goes down. And by the time the energy hits the ground, that should be the hardest you're clenching it. And then as you continue, and then as you release that breath, you're going to visualize that energy running back up your spine. And then it'll be releasing that Kegel. So you're breathing in, and as the energy goes down, you're tightening the Kegel. And then as you exhale, you're visualizing that energy going up, and you're releasing the Kegel. And you can do that either way. And I see there's questions, so we'll get into that in a sec. But yeah, by the time you release that breath, the Kegel should be completely unclenched. So you should be completely relaxed and correct the perineum. So how to hold the breath and clench the muscle. Basically a Kegel, correct. And the breathing is just going to be breathing in and breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. You don't necessarily need to hold your breath. It can be an extra catalyst. It can help us a little bit, but I would recommend just kind of practicing with that visualization and idea of just overall getting the concept or the fundamentals of it first. So I'll repeat it one more time because I know it can be it's a new subject. We're not necessarily taught this in Rockefeller educational camps, in school, whatever you want to call it, like one and the same, tomato, tomato. So yeah, I will have a recording of this. Don't worry. So again, to do the exercise, take a deep breath, visualize the energy running up, tongue on the roof of the mouth, right? Picture the energy going to the brain, and then exhale. And as you exhale, all right, so bring it up. As you're bringing the energy up, picture going down your spine. As it goes down your spine, clench, right? Clench the Kegel. And by the time that energy, you visualize that energy going all the way down the base, you should be doing that Kegel, not as hard as you can, but pretty tight. You don't want to strain yourself, but do it tight. And then as you exhale, picture the energy coming up and release. So do that on a feedback loop, and you'll start to feel a lot more energized. You still start to feel a lot more electric. You start to feel much more grounded in your avatar. And this is a practice you can do anywhere, really. You can do it standing up, you can do it sitting down, you can do it at your desk, you can do it while you're driving, you can do it when you're with your lover, literally anytime. You can do it while you're at the barbecue. It's just a matter of visualization and intention. And once you get the hang of it and do it on a weekly basis, you start to see real tangible results, even in like the first 2 hours of actually doing it, if you do it properly. And that is the microcosmic orbit. You don't necessarily need to hold the breath, and it can be as long as you want it. Feel intuitively about it. Feel intuitively about it. There's no strict rules or dogmas about this. It's just a matter of bringing awareness to your body and the visualization of the energy process. So as you know, or as you may know, everything is comprised of magnetism. Everything is a toroidal field. You see it in apples, you see it in women's bodies. Everything has a torus. So simply visualizing that torus, or in this sense, the microcosmic orbit, you're picturing that loop of your energy. And that's one of the best things you can do to just kind of get the meridians, the energy channels flowing. I would definitely, somebody asked a question about drinking and eating. I was going to save questions for the end, but I would recommend kind of spacing your drinks and your food because that can disrupt digestion. I would give like a 15-minute window before you drink and eat at the same time, because you're just messing with your acid digestion system. And really, yeah, that's it. Just don't mix water with food. If you have to drink while you're eating too fast. Masticate your food, chew more thoroughly. So when you practice enough correctly, you'll feel this loop throughout your body. Do this as often as you can so you feel that that energy has been transmuted. Optionally, you can integrate specific mudras and mantras that help resonate with your intention and connect them to the flow of the breath work. Along with such practices, a new shift in mindset is required to truly succeed on this path of SR. The overly sexualized society we live in today has conditioned many of us to pedestalize sexual pursuits above all else. And somebody says activates pineal gland as well. Correct, but there are certain things we should also implement, right? You can definitely feel the energy down there. Like you should definitely be bringing an awareness to all parts of your body. Drink your food and chew your water, my man. So this is what causes many of us to encounter the fear of missing out on the path of retention. But let's be clear. You can practice SR while having a girlfriend or a wife. You can approach and date women while you're on SR. And you can even occasionally release. The point of SR is the point of it is to spend our energy wisely, not carelessly spilling it at every opportunity. Disciplining ourselves beyond our comfort zone, challenging ourselves, saving this energy, even in intercourse, to redirect it towards other facets of our lives. And if we take a step back with this perspective, right, we can see there's a better way to combat that fear of missing out just by elevating our perspective. Everything in life is just a matter of perspective. Like a lot of people feel that they aren't confident speakers. You're confident that you don't feel confident in that. A lot of people feel like they lack trust. They're trusting that they lack trust. So it really is all between the ears. Everything starts between the ears, and it's just a matter of your mindset. It's that simple. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Physical matter or consciousness? But that's a whole nother story for another day. This is where the art of mental alchemy comes into play as we transmute our mindsets from scarcity into abundance. The idea of scarcity manifesting within us through an anxious state of searching for things externally in order to fill the void of emptiness we feel inside. This belief trickles down to the idea that happiness and joy we constantly yearn and seek are limited only to be found through chasing external pleasures. Recognizing these thought patterns is critical to take the first step towards dismantling these chains holding you back to reinventing yourself. The act of self-destruction, or rebirth, is a crucial principle we must all undergo in order to elevate our situation. So a lot of times the old person you were wasn't serving you, was holding you back, hanging around people that didn't do much for you, and you had to throw them in the back and let them go so you can move forward. And it's just a matter of having that moment of retrospection, of looking back and seeing the collection of everything we do and what we need to change in order to move forward. It is through prayer, visualization, affirmations, and so on, we can slowly but surely plant seeds of success in our subconscious mind that allows us to eventually break free from the psychological constraints that have been cemented in our psyche from cultural programming. See, when your sense of self-worth grows with this newfound perspective of life, your actions and behavior change in return. Those degenerate and destructive habits no longer correlate to who you are and who you realize you deserve better. Like the moment you stop and you just say no more, that's when you can start to begin really implementing change in your life. When you just get sick of your own shit and you're like, all right, now it's time to change the plot. You are the author writing your own script. So knowing this will assure you that you're not giving up anything, but you're actually gaining all you've missed out on. So in order to step into your higher self, you must be willing to burn off the past ideals and demons that are holding you back. Now, the next non-negotiable on this path is, of course, exercise. Physical activity not only improves your overall health and physique, but it helps you redirect the surplus of sexual energy, allowing you to prevent stagnation, restlessness, and provide other primal outlets to express it aside from sexual release. So it's common for guys to get a random urge, right? I mean, even women, right? But one of the best ways you can redirect that energy is just movement, breath, go outside, hit some squats, pull-ups, weights, calisthenics, surfing, whatever type of movement, right? And that's just going to release that surplus. So whether that's cardiovascular exercises, weightlifting, calisthenics, martial arts, sports, or anything else you can think of, having that consistent exercise routine is an essential piece of the puzzle when it comes to your path of success, and when it comes to success on your path. Now, staying in the physical aspects of this practice, of course, the next big thing is nutrition. We're going to dive deep into the dietary keys that truly help one's experience on this journey of SR. Somebody said, touch grass, boys. Yeah, seriously. Get out the four corners, get some sunlight, hit them downloads, go in nature, pet a chicken, do something, man. Get outside for sure. So these are going to be quality foods. And of course, regardless of your dietary labels, it's always recommended to focus back on quality. Quality of everything is going to outweigh any dietary dogmas. So that could be pasture-raised eggs, chickens that are actually on the field, fresh organic fruits and vegetables, free-range, grass-fed, wild-caught animal products, saturated fats, grass-fed butter, ghee, coconut oil, raw dairy from a trusted local farm, fermented foods, pickles, kimchi, good probiotic foods for good probiotic health, right? All of these are packed with vitamins, minerals, and proteins and other nutrients that help make up the crucial components to cultivating our life force energy. Now, Raw milk is great. There's a lot of on and offs about it, but I mean, I feel extremely satiated with that. Or satiated. I feel extremely satiated. Now, while supplementation of things like zinc, magnesium, selenium, and so forth can help benefit you in certain areas, they should only be seen as add-ons to an already established baseline, right? Doesn't matter how great your supplement intake is if you're still eating Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, McDonald's every week. Like it's just putting quality stuff on trash foods. It doesn't make sense. So the majority of your attention should be on finding out what works best for you and just experimenting with the real deal whole food items, cutting back on the processed, artificial, fast food slop we see in the modern diets today. And as Hippocrates said, let thy food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. The next step when it comes to sexual transmutation revolves around the spiritual expression of this energy. This is the most important piece of the puzzle of semen retention because without a purpose in place, you're bound to remain stuck in a cycle of relapses like a hamster on the wheel. Using practices such as meditation technique, using practices such as the meditation technique we discussed earlier, the microcosmic orbit, to sit in silence, which is an anagram for listen. And silent is listen. That's when you get the answers. To truly self-reflect, you'll start to uncover the burning desire in your spirit to identify your true calling in life. And it is in this space of self-reflection the unveiling occurs. It is an integral part to understanding and embracing your purpose as you reconnect with what your soul is drawn to. By manifesting this vision, you'll be seeking alignment with your divine mission and tapping into the God-given capabilities of man creating his own reality. If you were to leave here with only one thing, I want it to be this. Understand that this life force is the supreme source of your creative energy. So by using it as the fuel for the engine needed to pursue any endeavor in life, whether that's creating art, music, content, writing, business, or anything else along those lines, you'll be able to tap into an infinite stream of inspiration, propelling you into new heights like never imagined before. We said quitting their job. Chase your dreams, man. Take the risk. Take the risk and have the plan. Someone else also says, she legit, maca, morning, best pre-workouts. Yeah, we want to avoid all the synthetic workouts, man. Maca, beetroot powder, you have more brick than Shaq at the free throw line. By learning how to harness and properly directing this energy towards other avenues through the techniques shared here, we can truly bring life to our dreams and turn them into reality. Someone else also said salt is a great pre-workout. And not just table salt, but like actual quality salt, Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt, black salt, like real salts. Now, a wet dream protocol. Drop a one in the chat if you've been on the journey and you get a wet dream and you're like, yo, like what does this mess up my streak? Why am I tired? Like, what's going on? It's extremely frustrating, yeah. So a lot of ones. So the thing is, like, this is definitely avoidable. And we're gonna go over steps and how to navigate this. And that's the worst thing is when you have a long streak and then have that wet dream. I hear you, man. So another common roadblock experienced on this path is none other than nocturnal emissions, otherwise referred to as wet dreams. This is something most of us have already or will encounter when it comes to practicing semen retention. While wet dreams might briefly interrupt the momentum you've built on your streak, they can gradually become minimized and eventually avoided altogether by implementing the following step-by-step tips listed within the following protocol. Mindful eating habits. So avoid having heavy meals or excessive liquids before bed. A full stomach can exert pressure on your prostate and potentially increase the likelihood of nocturnal emissions. So, excuse me for getting crude here, but if your colon is swollen it's going to impact your endurance. So learning to cleanse your foods and actually relieve that pressure is what's going to allow you to sustain that energy much longer in bed. Post-meal walks. Incorporate some type of short movement or light physical activity such as stretching or yoga after your last meal. This will aid in digestion and promote an overall state of relaxation, which will in turn help you minimize any heaviness that will sit in your stomach as you fall asleep. Conscious food choices. You got to be mindful of the types of foods you're eating. Again, certain items such as chocolate, onions, garlic, and other aphrodisiacs. And of course, by chocolate, I mean cacao. These are known to be sexually stimulating, which may further contribute to erotic dreams. Ideally, avoid these before bedtime or as the last meal. And then next is going to be a screen time reduction. You got to minimize the amount of screen time you got, my boy. Too much blue light's not good for you. It messes with your melatonin production, affects the quality of your sleep, and it can act as a source of temptation, eventually leading you back down that rabbit hole. So rather than being on your phone at night, if you need a light, get a red light. It's the lowest on the UV spectrum. You can get a cheap red bulb for like $10 if you don't want to get a whole red light system. And it's going to help you get a lot better sleep. Pick up a book, meditate, find activities to keep you from falling into those urges or those relapses. Next is optimal sleeping positions. And this is one that like I wish I knew much earlier. I wish somebody told me this when I was 20. So choosing sleeping positions that alleviate pressure on the pelvic region. Sleeping on your back or your sides is most preferable. Avoid sleeping on your stomach, which is definitely one of my favorites for a long time, because it causes unnecessary force to your gut, and it also strains your neck. When you think about it, you're laying on your stomach with your pillow up, you're automatically putting this pressure on your neck to be upwards, and it's just not ideal. Now, the nervous system care or bedtime routine. You got to create a constant and calming bedtime routine that promotes relaxation. This includes activities such as turning off all the electronics, candle lights, reading, stretching, meditation, baths. Prepare yourself for a restful night. Always being on the phones, always thinking about the 9 to 5, thinking about your Tico, the electric bill, charging. You got to put the auto pay on. You forgot about it. It can always get you on this fight or flight state. You're in your sympathetic nervous system. We want to bring you back into your parasympathetic. We want to bring you back into your rest and digest mode. So that's going to be through deep breathing, silence in the nature, getting rid of all the man-made crap around you. Just sitting in that silence, man. Cold showers, one of the worst things I hate, but extremely beneficial. Taking a cold shower before bedtime can aid in cooling your internal bodily temperature, which will help reduce the likelihood of sexual arousal. Showers in the dark are also soothing the nervous system prior. That's something big that I've learned recently, is showering in the dark is just extremely soothing to your nervous system. If you haven't tried that, highly recommend. So it's important to know wet dreams aren't necessarily synonymous with a conscious, voluntary release, as the fluids emitted during wet dreams actually differ. So while the goal should be to avoid them, it's also crucial to just not be hard on yourself if they happen, right? Like shit does happen. So if you're doing the best, that's what counts. This is a journey, and with time and practice, you can reduce their occurrences by completing and implementing all these steps stated within this protocol. As you integrate the principles of retention into your life, remember this is not an all-in-one size-fit-all practice, but rather a personal journey of self-exploration and empowerment. Mastering others is a strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Lao Tzu. And also another one. I think it was Rumi. I think it was Osho. I don't know. It's yesterday I wanted to change the world, but today I'm wise and now I want to change myself. It was Rumi. Thank you. No cold showers of adrenal issues. If you're having adrenal issues, guys, definitely start beginning implementing herbs and watching the foods you eat and literally just moving your body. Great point. So it leads me to this, guys. Let's be honest. Naturally, on this path of awakening, it can leave us feeling alone, isolated, outcasted. Our friends and family typically no longer understand us or are willing to hear what we see beyond the veil of this matrix. And men today are addicted to porn and video games, lacking bonds with other men, feminized, overly apologetic, disconnected with their masculinity, lacking faith, lacking discipline, focus, and the ability to get things done, lacking healthy father figures, positive male role models, raised in a degenerate follow your pleasure type of culture, consuming poor diets with gut issues, poor nutrition, anxiety, like it's all interconnected. So dealing with all of this alone is not the answer. Men need brotherhood to truly thrive in life. And when you consider this on a, let's say, ancestral level, before it used to be tribe, there used to be a bunch of men in the tribe. And if one guy wanted to puss out, the other members wouldn't have it. They'd be like, bro, get your ass up. We need you to get in the hunt today. Men would hold each other accountable. They would call each other out on their shit when they're not living up to what they're capable of. So that's the crucial important, man. You got to have brotherhood. Which leads me to ask, what if there was a community of like-minded individuals that went more in depth about all these practices that accompany semen retention and self-improvement? A community with full courses on 12-week physical training program, courses on sexual mastery and tantra, an ejaculation control guide, holistic activities such as fasting, detoxification, Kriya yoga, sun gazing, full looks maxing course, understanding the dynamics of masculine and feminine polarity, and an over-expanding archive of PDFs and resources to assist you on your journey, and much more. I mean, or open forums, the whole community, right? I have an answer for that. The Esoteric Academy, an online community for men and women that focuses in all aspects of holistic self-improvement. We do this by weaving together the spiritual, the psychological, and somatic and esoteric, giving you practical tools to embody in your everyday life. The goal of this academy is to awaken something dormant within you that has been sleeping, allowing you to bring your soul's greatest gifts into the world. I consider this a training ground for spiritual warriors in mind, body, and spirit to live a life that is in alignment with their true self and greatest potential. It contains an ever-expanding library of dozens of courses and hours of video content that I've made that showcase everything I've learned throughout my spiritual and self-improvement journey. So in this container, you get immediate access to dozens of courses priced at over $1,200, all for the low risk of $33 a month. Come and go as you want. There is no obligations. And the original price was at $49 per month. However, I want to make it as easily accessible for everybody that's interested. So the price is $33. It's good for the next 20 minutes afterwards, but it will go up.